we had a few people registering, so I'm going to begin. Kim can maybe let people in as they come along.
Yep, sure.
So let me formally welcome you to this little webinar specifically on symbols. And I know some of you will be aware of the physical version of symbols. Some may also have some knowledge of the online version, but we're going to take a look at the activity and particularly how it's deployed now on what we call our Experiential Learning Tools platform. So the plan today is to take about an hour maximum to look at the whole activity, how it works, and hopefully get you all involved in having a little play with it. We're then going to have a look at the administration of it via the platform, and happy to take questions at the end. What I would say though is typically I tend to run out of time as we go along. So if you have questions, by all means, put them in the chat. Kim will pick them up and she will interrupt me if she thinks it's important enough. And if not, we can answer them at the end, and certainly any that we miss, we'll have a chance to follow up. So let me go straight into it. What I would say, if you don't actually want to take part, then can you send Kim a little private message, because she's going to be setting up the demo, and like any experiential learning activity, we need to know who's taking part so that we can allocate resources and assets. So only if you don't want to take part, let her know. Other than that, we'll assume that everyone on board here is going to take part. It would probably be a small group. What have we got? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and Kim would be 5. We should be able to do that, but 5 is probably a little smaller a group to do ideally with symbols. I'm assuming that most people are on some kind of larger device, not on a smartphone. While the first phase would work with a smartphone, the screen size is just not big enough to be able to work with this activity, particularly in the second stage. So we don't recommend trying to run these activities with smartphones. It is possible on a larger device like a tablet, but ideally on a laptop or a desktop PC. So let's have a quick look at the Symbols background, maybe a history lesson for some people, but for others, they may not know of the background to this activity. So we started RSVP Design back in 2003, and actually this was one of the first products that Jeff decided to bring into the business. He had worked with a version of Symbols in his previous business, a business called Pangyris. So we're all getting very old. So if anyone remembers Pangyris, you're doing very well. The key learning focus for Symbols was around project management. So having a difficult, complex project where lots of behavioral information could come from, but specifically focused on communication skills and verbal skills between participants. And then it had the final stage of a process implementation. So this idea of doing lots of project preparedness, communicating, knowing where everyone's role was in this project, and then actually having to implement it. And actually Symbols was originally designed as a follow-on to Colorblind, for those of you who know that activity. And the new version, when we came into RSVP Design, had moved from just being a single group activity previously in Pangyris to being able to be played as 3 sub-teams. And we're going to take a look at the sub-team version today and what difference that makes compared to the single group version. So since 2003 and the launch of that, it's been pretty widely used around the world, although the instructions are provided in English, and we're increasingly getting more translations. Once the activity has started, really it could be done in any language, so it's technically, I guess, language independent. And all of that was great for the first 17 years until we hit March 2020 last year, and face-to-face learning essentially stopped across the world. And we were being contacted within a couple of weeks with customers asking us for a way to use the experiential materials and activities virtually. And for us, it was good going back to our design roots, looking at existing products to see which we could work with virtually. And again, using those 4 initials, so the R was relevant, choosing an activity relevant to your learning outcomes. we wanted to create something that would also be simple to facilitate in the virtual environment, and hopefully you'll see that. Something that had versatility at a number of applications. And I guess P originally, back in 2003 was portable, and then it became practical, and I guess it's, participatory if we need to find a P word as we moved into the digital realm. Again, for those of you who know the activity will recognize it was a two-stage activity. So in the first stage, it's relatively simple. You're issuing assets or tiles to people, but then you all have to come together to work on the same grid as it is in the physical world. And that was a bit of a challenge in the digital world. So we recognized early on we could use Google Drive to do some of this, and we had a couple of different applications, of Google Drive with Simbols. But really, we recognized pretty early on that it wasn't going to be a long-term solution for a number of reasons. The first is it made things difficult to facilitate. And second, it was a real challenge for some organizations to be able to go to Google Drive links. However, the good news was feedback seemed to be pretty good. It worked pretty much as the physical version, and in the 2 or 3 iterations to the version that you're going to see today, it seemed to get better each time. So we're relatively happy with what we've got. This is quite new. The platform that I mentioned was only formally begun from a design point of view in June of last year, and the first product, which was Colorblind, came in October, and then Simbols came a month later. And in fact, as of today, there's a third activity on there called Colorblind Plus, and we'll continue to develop more as we go along. So let's move on to having a look at Simbols and how it actually works. I think we've got another participant with us, so that's great. Kim, can I just check that you're got both Dave Stockton and Dave Blackwell added in?
Yep.
And I can just check, Dave, you're happy to take part. We're just going to assume that everyone is and send some assets out, if that's okay.
Yeah, I'm actually driving at the moment, so I can't actually participate. Sorry.
No problem. What I'll do is we'll let you see what's going on. Okay, so maybe just a quick. I won't ask you, Dave, if you're driving to put your thumb up, but maybe the rest of us. Can you give us a thumbs up if you've used Simbols before? Okay, so I'm trying to look at some screens here. Maybe just give me there's not many of us yet. Marcus has used Simbols before, great. Pooja told me she hadn't. Dave and David, Zaim, any experience with the physical version?
Nope, this is my first time actually. Looking forward to actually learn more. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Zaim. Okay, that's fine. So we're going to try and do a live demo, as we said. So Kim is going to take part in this. Kathy, I think, is just about to join us too. Just give me a little second and let me introduce Kathy to proceedings once she arrives. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. You've missed a short introduction, but nothing too much of a problem. We were just checking there. We're going to do a little live demonstration of Simbols. Are you happy to take part in it?
Yes, I am.
Great. Okay. Well, Kim is going to set you up, and you'll need to access your email addresses once we get ready to go. But that's great. Are you fine, Kim?
Yes. Do you want me to mark as planned, or is that us?
Yeah, you can mark as planned, ready to go. That's fine. In fact, you can actually just send them out.
Okay.
So, if you've said you're going to take part, which I think is everyone except David, you should receive an email shortly from, and it won't come from me, it will come from noreply@experientiallearningtools.com. So if you could check your spam, check your email, and just again, give me a little thumbs up or open your mic and say yes if you get that email. Kathy, great, you've got one. That's good. We know they're being sent out. And what I would say is give me a shout, or give Kim a shout if you haven't received anything in the next couple of minutes.
Graham, just a question.
Sure.
It's sending me to a picture to put in a password. Do you want me to do all that, or am I just?
No, just register as a guest. I think that's the easiest thing to do. Yeah. So we'll ask you if you want to register, but ask you if you want to be a guest.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. Yep.
So if you could do that and get to that stage, you won't be able to open it. It will tell you that you'll not be able to open the activity until it started. Hi, I think Nick has just joined us. Can you hear me, Nick? Hi, great. Nick, we've just started a little online demonstration, so you probably won't receive anything in the email. But what we might do, Kim, it might be useful if you've already included yourself, you could copy your link and give that to Nick in the chat.
Yep, I'll do that now.
Yeah. This is really flying by the seat of your pants, so I wouldn't recommend if you're setting up to run this with a real live group, you do it like this, but we should be fine. If anyone else joins us a little bit late, they'll simply have to observe. So I know some people have seen Simbols, some have not. So Simbols is an activity around communication, as I mentioned, around project management and really finding out where your role is in relation to everyone else's. So can everyone see that my screen here? I've got an image of the grid and a couple of tiles. Just give me a quick thumbs up if you can see if I'm sharing okay.
I haven't received my email, so.
You haven't, okay.
No.
Kim will send you something in the chat, Zaim, that should have your link in it. Okay. So what you're going to receive when I open the emails.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can I just double check? Was that Marcus that said he didn't receive his link?
That was Zaim, I think. Is that correct, Zaim? You haven't received your email?
No, it was me, Marcus. Sorry.
Okay. It was Marcus. Sorry.
Yes.
I have received my email. Thank you.
You have, Zaim. Okay.
Yep.
Great. Sorry, I'm working on one screen here, so I've got some view of some of the people and the other of my presentation slides. So shortly or already, you will have received an email link. When you open that, when I start the activity, you're going to see some images of some tiles. As you can see, there's a couple of tiles there on the right. Each tile is going to have 4 symbols on it. You'll also see a picture of this grid on your screen as well. And if you counted those spaces on that grid, you will see that there are 30. So there's a row of 6 rows and 5 columns. There are 30 tiles in total that will have been issued amongst the group. And your job is through discussion with each other is try to find where you are in relation to each other. And when you get your email, there will be a full brief that you'll be able to see, but I'm just giving you an overview before we start. Each of your tiles will have a unique place on this grid. You'll know you're in the correct place. When you place your tile on the grid, you would see a matching symmetrical symbol. So in this example here, you can see that the tile on the left matches the one on the right because they are a black and white symbol in that orange triangle. It's a black line and 2 white lines matches. It's a symmetrical view in the red adjacent to it. And if these cards were placed somewhere in the middle, they would have a match in the top, they would have a match at either side, and they would have a match in the bottom. Okay, so that's what we're going to look for when we start. Okay, I purposely wanted to show you that because one of the things that you'll know from those of us who work a lot experientially, in the physical world, if you hand people some tiles and ask them to pay attention while you give them the brief, they're already starting to play with those tiles or to look at them. So again, we have the opportunity here, and I'll show you this later. I'm just hitting the Start Now button. So those of you who have an email, you should now be able to see your tiles. Okay. So I'm just going to take a minute and check in that everyone can see their tiles. So everyone apart from David who's playing, can you just let me know that you can see everything okay? Pooja, great, thank you.
We are getting 5 tiles.
Okay, right? Perfect. Who was that? Was that Zaim?
Zaim, yeah.
Thank you. Okay. And Dave Blackwell, do you have yours okay?
I'm sorry.
Perfect. And Kim, did you send your links to Nick?
Yes, Nick's got them.
Okay, so Nick, you have some tiles, okay? Yes, perfect. Kathy, good. Okay, so we're ready to go. So I gave you that brief overview, but you will see up in the top right of that email, there's a brief that you can click on if you need a little bit more detail. But essentially what you're trying to do in this first phase is through discussion to identify where your tiles may be in relation to someone else's. Okay, this is not an easy project. It would take, typically you'll see a timer counting down. It can take 30 to 45 minutes. So this is not an easy project to do. What I would suggest is that if you've got experience of using Simbols before, then let's use it, because we're only here for a little trial and see if we can move the project along. So, any questions?
Is there any rule that orange should only face orange, or the red side should only face red, or they can be placed in any way?
It's a great question, Pooja. You'll notice that there are colours on your tiles, and you'll notice that there are colour on the grid, but colour isn't really mentioned. So we present all of the tiles, and this is for you as facilitators. We present all the tiles in the digital version with green at the top, so that orientation would be correct. If it was in the physical world, people can rotate the tiles, you can't. So it's not really that relevant, but what you will always find is that an orange would go against a red. So that is something to consider when you're describing and looking for a match. So can I suggest anyone who's maybe got some experience of this help out some of those? Anyone give a kind of overview, having done it before, what we should be looking for?
Can't hear you. You are on mute.
So I haven't played this before, but what I can say is if one of us places our tile on the chart, would the other person who has a matching tile, how can they put it? Can we remove it? I have no idea how to go about it.
No, that's fine, Pooja, and it's a good question. So if you imagine in the physical world that people would have tiles in their hands, so this first version in the digital world is the same. So you're not allowed to place your tiles onto that board yet. If you try and click and drag them across, you wouldn't be able to, but there will be a second stage once you have identified where your tiles would be. So right now, all that you can do as a group is try to find out who might have a match. Now, all of the tiles are allocated randomly. So if you have 4 or 5 tiles, you might find that you've got a match, okay? And the matches would be all the way across horizontally and all the way up and down. So again, anyone got any advice on how we might get started here?
So by the match, you mean the identical tiles? No, just the...
Yeah, the tile won't be identical, but when you put 2 tiles against each other, any tile that it touches should have a symmetrical shape. So it's not an exact match because it would face the other way, but it is going to be like a mirror match.
Ah, okay.
Okay. Okay. So we can go by, since we are very few of us, we can go by describing.
How many players we have, by the way?
We have 5 tiles, and every color triangle has a specific shape. So if I start with my first tile, I say my orange triangle has a semicircle tube with lines.
Semicircle tube with lines.
Like the tubes we throw in the pool, like.
Yep, so I have that.
Right.
Ah.
In the orange.
Yes, mine is on the right-hand side.
So
the right side of the tile. So yours is on the left-hand side of the tile or on the right-hand side?
Mine is also on the right-hand side of the tile. It's in the orange triangle.
Pooja, yours is in the orange triangle, right?
Right.
Okay.
So Kathy, that means it won't, yours is on the left-hand side. So
No, it's on the right, but maybe, can we turn the tiles? Are we able to turn the tiles?
no, we can't. That's what,
Okay, hold on. Kathy, yours is the similar shape is in which triangle? What color?
I have one in orange triangle, I have one in red triangle. The red triangle is on the left-hand side.
Correct. So if you have on the red triangle, then mine is on the right right triangle. So that
Yeah.
should
Yours is, you said red or orange though? I thought you said orange.
orange, but orange will face the red.
Okay, then we have a match.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
So
orange is, you're referring to yellow, right?
Yes,
okay.
yellow, yes.
I'm seeing yellow. Okay.
Yeah, yellow.
So, okay. So now what I will do is on the bottom of this same tile that I'm talking about, I have a triangle with a small circle on top. So
On top.
Circle
Okay.
or
like
or
a small
okay.
Okay.
Mine, I don't know if mine's a circle or mine's a diamond. Are you sure it's a circle, not a diamond?
No, it's a circle. Like I have a diamond one also, Kathy, at the bottom.
Okay. Mine are, I have a triangle, but both of the things on top of those triangles are diamonds, not circles.
Okay, we have
Pooja,
another. Yes.
you have a triangle with a circle on the peak of the triangle,
yes.
right?
Correct, correct.
Do you have any lines inside the triangle?
Yes, one line.
One straight line.
Yeah.
Vertical, right?
Right.
Okay, you have that in which triangle?
Blue.
Blue.
Yours should be in green.
Yes, I have something like what you mentioned in green.
Correct. So we have a match there, Zain. I'm not sure, should we, only thing now, guys, I think what we need to, because I'm just thinking whether we should place my tile in the center rows or in the side. So
hold on, are we allowed to take notes? I mean, like, we are not allowed to.
We can take notes.
We only can take notes. We cannot move the tiles, right?
Yeah, you can go ahead and take notes. You won't be able to move the tiles at this stage, and you're not able to share them with each other. So this is all through verbal discussion.
Verbal, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So now now what I'm describing the third. So I have in the red triangle, I have these alternate bars, black and white bars. So 2 white and 1 black. Would somebody have similar bars in the orange triangle?
No.
You say 2 white and 1 black.
Yes.
Yeah, is that from going from the bottom of that triangle? Is that the black one, then the white one, then the black one?
Yes.
Yes,
no.
I've got that. In
white?
orange. Yeah, in yellow.
Okay, let me. Okay, yeah. So who was that? Sorry.
Dave.
Okay, so I have found Dave would come on my left-hand side. Kathy, you are on my right-hand side, and Zain, you are below. So we have these. Now I'm calling out for my topmost tile, which has 3 bars again, black, white, black, 3 bars, just 3 bars, 3 black bars in the green. So I'm looking for someone who has the same bars in blue.
Can I just jump in there a minute? Because that sort of grid with the online symbols, if we number that from left, so starting at the top and we go from left to right, we go A, B, C, D, E, yeah, across the top, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. Because if we could end up putting these all over the place, and then everybody's got 5 symbols. So your number on the top row, you've got 3 that we're looking at, yeah. So that's your number 1, 2, and 3, going from top row left to right, and then 4 and 5 on the bottom 2. Does that make it easier if we then draw out a grid and we put in there like Dave 1 on, so for instance C5 or something? Does everybody see where I'm going? Does that make it easier?
Yeah, but like imagine now we are discussing pujas, like
Yeah.
we have the similar one, but we don't know on which grid should that one be placed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm just thinking when we get into it
Yeah.
a bit more. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So can I maybe just throw in a question for you? And I realize you've been thrown into this as a group that's never worked before. So this is a tough challenge. So in terms of being able to, now you're starting to get matches, which is great. Can I ask you what happens when you get to the edges of this grid? So around the 4 edges, what does that change in terms of the patterns you're looking for?
You're not going to have a match.
It ended there. No
Yes.
more tile.
Yes.
Yeah, so now you're looking to find out where each tile goes. You need to find those that don't have a match. And then like
Brilliant.
a jigsaw, they're going to form the edge of your grid. So you're absolutely on the right direction. Again, I think that's a useful idea, Dave, to consider, naming the grid so that you would know where your tile would be. But right now you don't quite know.
Yeah.
Can I just over again a bit of something? You may want to check your tiles when you were talking about the black, white, and black bars.
Mm-hmm.
I can see all of the tiles, so I may be just suggesting you have another look at those. Okay, I'll sign off and let you guys continue.
So just one question though, Graham, it would help me if we could start putting them on the board a little bit. Is that something we're allowed to do yet?
You can't do that at this case, Kathy. No, I mean what this activity is designed to do. So you're in the very first stage of a project. Everyone is really unclear what's going on. Everyone's trying to figure out what the role is. That's a deliberate part of the design. So until you can figure that out, you can't do the process implementation stage. So that's a constraint, and that's deliberate.
Okay, so that we really do need to not talk about. We really need to talk about the patterns first and then the colors.
Hold on. I think what we can know for sure now is to find all those on the very edge where, the end, so that we can check that by confirming with everyone that we don't have any symmetrical.
But there's 2 bits.
Yeah.
So first the design in the triangle, and then it's the color of the triangle.
Yeah.
So do we want to confirm the design do we want to go by the design and then say who has this design?
Yeah, okay, let's check on the yellow side, yellow triangle. Everyone focus on yellow triangle, and let's look for the one without the mirror image.
Yeah.
I have a very simple design here. It's just a semicircle. Who has a semicircle with a semicircle on the yellow triangle?
Is there anything in it?
Nothing. It's just a semicircle without the line. Circle. I'm missing this half.
No.
Right, but there's nothing inside.
Yeah, nothing inside. Can I confirm that with everyone?
Yeah,
it's a very straightforward design. It's a semicircle with a white, with nothing inside. No color, nothing. It's just the outline of a semicircle.
Oh, I don't
know.
have that. No.
No.
All right, thank you. I think that one can be somewhere at the edge now, on the yellow side. But we still don't know on which grid, whether just now, Dave, you are suggesting to have 1, 2, 3 on the top, or ABC on the top.
Yeah, something. I'm just thinking now. I quite like your idea of the fact that if we're going to go and try and find what's on the yellow side, that we don't match it. If we do all those first, and then we can work out later on where they go up and down. If you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is what I have on the yellow side. Everyone have 5, right? So I'm gonna share with you guys all my 5 tiles, only focusing on the yellow.
Yep.
Now I have one, which is we have confirmed that that is the very end of the site. So that is one. Number two is I have it's like a mountain, a pinnacle.
Mhm.
It's a pinnacle with it's just line, it's just outline.
Are there 3 triangles like?
Yes, it's not it's like a mountain range. It's like pinnacles.
3 of them?
Yes, 3 of them.
Black,
You mean
white,
like-
black?
No, only white, only the outline. I don't have any
Okay.
color inside.
Okay.
Okay, can I suggest something?
Yeah.
So what you guys are doing is absolutely the way the first 10 minutes of this would go, and now you've got a process. So what I'd like to do is just to give you a sense of the next piece. So where we are is that we've identified the first card that's on the edge. Okay, so Zaim had no match in his yellow, so that means his card there with the semicircle, empty semicircle, lies somewhere on the right of this grid. Okay, and to find out where you would be looking for a match, either in the top or the bottom of that card, Zaim. So do you want to find, and let's see if we can find out where that single card absolutely goes, because that's the key to moving this forward. So Zaim, if you want to describe what you've got in the green triangle of that card, and in the blue triangle, you can see where that card would lie vertically on that grid. Does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
Okay,
Thank you.
let's just try that just so that you get a sense of it.
Okay. On my green triangle, I have this black triangle with a diamond on the peak of the triangle.
Okay, so yeah, in my blue, I have a black triangle with a white diamond on top.
Yes, and you, okay. What else you have? I mean, okay, hold on. Let's talk about my blue first.
This is your blue or your green?
Just now it was my green. The triangle, black triangle with a white diamond on top.
Correct. Okay.
So again, you can start to note that Pooja, you know your card goes above Zaim's. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll rule out that my thing also should go on the edge. So in yellow, I just have a black triangle.
Great. So what I suggest is you go up and down until you either get to the top or the bottom with no match, and then we'll know where those cards fit.
Okay. So on my blue, I have I have a rectangle. I have 2 rectangles. Placed on top of each other with one line, connecting line between the 2 triangles. The 2 rectangles, sorry. The rectangle is white in color. Both rectangle is white in color. And the rectangle is not they have 2 rectangles, but both is not quite the same size.
One inside the other, right?
No, it's on top, and I have one small line connecting those 2 triangles, those 2 rectangles.
Is it like a window? Like,
doesn't look like a window to me.
Is it in blue? Yours
is in blue. So meaning that
it should be green.
It should be green. Let's everyone check your green. Try to look for 2 rectangles.
I have green.
You have green rectangle,
Yes.
2 rectangles.
Yes.
Both is in white in color.
Are we allowed to use the chat or no?
Kathy, it's like this. It's like wickets. It's like
No, it's like this. It's like this.
Just a small remark to Graham. I just received now the email.
Ah.
Okay.
Sorry,
So
sorry. We are now with Cassie on the bottom. You have a blue thingy, Bobby.
yes, I have a blue rectangle with another rectangle on top of it with a small line in between.
And both rectangles white in color.
Yes.
Okay.
Clear, yes.
So now you
I
have
think-
three cards that march vertically along that right hand.
Yeah, I think that's the
line.
one. Let's continue with you, Kathy. Let's talk about your blue
Okay.
rectangle. Yeah.
Okay, so my other blue you want me to talk about my blue rectangles or my blue?
You don't have blue
Okay.
rectangles. You have blue
Okay,
triangles.
blue triangles. Okay, so I have a blue triangle that in my blue triangle, I have one that is a white, larger triangle with a black diamond on top. Does anyone have the green for that?
No.
You are
I don't.
talking the same tile, right, Katie? Okay,
Oh,
hold
sorry.
on. Just now,
Yeah,
we are talking about.
I missed. Okay, sorry. Okay, in the same tile as the two, yeah, I have a triangle that is cut in half. So it's like a triangle with a line down the middle, and that triangle is white in color.
So we are
If no-
looking for another triangle with a line in the middle, right, Katie? Which is
Yes.
supposed to be in a green triangle, right?
And
Yes.
if nobody has it, it might be the button.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can everyone confirm that you don't have anything that is similar to what Katie just mentioned?
No, I don't.
Okay. Can I ask you now, some people will be really pleased that I'm going to stop this, and other people might be concerned because they wanted to move a little bit further. But I wanted you to get a sense, and you've certainly got a sense of the frustration that typically comes in the first part of this exercise. So I'm going to share my screen now and let you see what I can see at the back end of the platform, and we can talk about a few things. Okay, so can you see my screen now?
See.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So just to look at a few things. So the first thing about the design of this activity, this is designed to have far more information than any one person can manage. If you think about it, we have 30 tiles. We've got 4 images on each tiles. You need to develop a system and a nomenclature for sorting this. And one of the places you got to relatively quickly actually was this ability to say, ignore 3 of the shapes. So if I'm looking for a match in green, you only need to look at your blue triangle, for example, because we know the blue fits on top of the green. So you did that. And once you get those first 3 cards, you can usually move relatively quickly. If you look down at the bottom here on Kathy's shapes, this one second from the right is the one she was describing. And that blue, inside her blue triangle, actually it looks like Pooja has that in her green. Your card 5th from the left. So there's a lot of detail. There's a lot of opportunity for miscommunication in symbols. A lot of the things that we see inside any organization. 5 cards is a lot for anyone to manage, which is why I suggested that 6 is usually quite a small group to do symbols. It makes this activity tougher. And the fact that none of you know each other, have never worked before, this would be a very difficult exercise to drop people into. So it's no surprise that it was a bit of a challenge. But assuming that we get to the stage, and you probably would if I gave you the remaining 19 minutes, you could probably figure out where each of your tiles are. The second stage is this performance implementation bit that I mentioned at the start. So you can see up in the right-hand side of my screen here, I have a little button called placement. So when I hit that button now, that will mean that you're allowed to and able to drag your tiles onto the grid. So you won't know exactly where they go right now, but I think you got a match for 3 of those tiles. So why don't you try and drag your tiles over to the grid and just put them on, and you can see what happens.
So Zain, will you go? Zain?
No.
Okay.
Oh boy.
So in the physical world, we would typically give groups about 30 seconds to come to the board, and these are magnetic tiles, to put them on. Online, it takes a little bit more time for people to get used to the drag and drop. So one of the rules that we have is that we want people to make their own contribution. So we ask people to put their own tiles on and not to move anyone else's. In the digital world, that's a little bit easier for us to control. If you hover your mouse over any tile, you can see who placed it, and only you can move your own tiles. You can't move anyone else's. So if there's a mistake, you would need to figure that out. If you take a look at my screen, you can see some tiles are in tinted red. That simply means they've been put in the wrong place. So had you had another 20 minutes, I'd be able to check that out, and would be able to go again. So that's how the technology works in terms of the activity. Those who are not familiar will get a sense of it. So there's about typically 30 to 45 minutes worth of discussion, figuring out where we are in relation to everyone else, figuring out a method of deciding how we place them on. So Dave's idea of rows and columns is a common one. Let's call them rows 1 to 6 and columns A, B, C, D, E, and then putting them on. So that is typically how the exercise would work. The final thing in terms of the administration is once I hit end session, then your cards will disappear. So what it means is that if you were to send on the invitation emails I gave you, they wouldn't work for anyone else. So the facilitator is in control of starting and stopping the activity. So I realize that's a bit of a quick run through as a participant, but I wanted you to get a sense of that if you haven't done it. And that's the group version. So does anyone have any questions on the kind of administration and running of that?
Yes, I do. It just happened. I've done the colorblind a week ago, and it happened to me the same thing, that 2 of the participants haven't received the emails.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them to check the spam as well, so it wasn't in the spam as well. So is that quite often happening? And where do you take the links from?
Yeah, okay. So it hasn't happened very often, I have to say. The only suggestion would be that maybe the organization had a particularly aggressive spam filter or something, and they have been quarantined or haven't arrived. But if that does happen, let me share my screen again, and I can show you what to do.
Also, I wanted to check, Graham, can we not send the links through private message in the Zoom chat?
Yeah, you can. That's just what I was just going to go check. The reason we don't recommend that for a normal method of operating, it then becomes quite laborious having to copy and paste every individual link. So it's there as a backup. So let me I need to set up a new session, Marcus, just to show you how that works. Okay.
I just wanted to check about the rules.
Sure.
Are we allowed to use paper pen and show it that?
No, I would suggest that, it defeats the object if you're able to draw the shapes and then hold them up. So for the purposes of demonstration, I didn't think it was a major issue. So after we press the invitation, Marcus, if you can see here, each learner has an invite link. If you hit that and copy that, then you can send that link in chat. Okay, so if someone says they haven't received it by email, it's relatively easy to send them a unique link. So that's how you would get over it. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Absolutely. Thanks, Graham.
Okay, no problem. Good. So any other questions on the group version? No. Good. Okay. Let me just show you a couple of things then. So the first thing is that if you purchase an activity, you'll be given a login, and you'll go to this login screen here on the platform. And really, it's a very simple interface. So there are three things. When you arrive, you'll hit the schedule that I'll come back to. Let me just put these onto present mode a bit larger. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yep. The next section is articles. So here, rather than providing a single manual, you see there's lots of articles on how you might use Simbols, from scheduling your first session to suggestions for review, how you might set it up in communication. So everything you would need in terms of preparation would be there. And if you're not familiar with that, then that would be the place to go to first. Users is where you have the people who are given the authority to set these up. So depending on the amount of licenses you've bought, a standard Simbols online version comes with 2 licenses. So in this version, Anne has created herself as a manager, but not another one. And then schedule is where you go to create the activity. So let me just show you how that is done. All right, too many screens open. Okay, so here we are at schedule. So the first thing you would do is to create a new session. I have many products on this, so we're going to look at Simbols. You can give it a name, you can give it a start time and date. You could choose to use the video conference URL if you wanted to, and you can also choose to send a default brief to participants, but you don't need to do that. Once you've created the session, it's a case of adding participants. So if you have them all in a CSV file, you can add them there, or you can add them one at a time here as by individual email addresses. So you would add in an email address. And you can give the person's name and do it like this. So one of the things we found recently was that some participants, if they're working with corporate LMSs, for example, may not have email addresses. So you don't need to generate email addresses to generate the links. You can create the manual links, as I just showed Marcus, if you wanted to send all of the links via chat, for example. But that becomes quite laborious because you really want the platform to automatically set things up for people. So what I wanted to show you, and I'm conscious of time, is the second version of Simbols. So we use this as one large group. You also have the ability to use a team version of Simbols. And what we find is that many organizations tend to work in smaller sub-teams who then come together as a larger team. So when you're talking about working with colleagues, often it's this ability to go from small team to large team working that's important. And in team Simbols, you can do that. As you can see, the grid on the screen here is now marked slightly differently, and it's marked into 3 groups of 10. You have a dark block of 6 and a dark block of 4. That's one group of 10 tiles that are issued to a sub-team. You have 2 rows of 5 here that would be issued to a second sub-team, and you have a block of 6 and 4. So in the physical world, setting these up is quite laborious, and you need to be very particular to make sure you get them set up properly. But in the digital world, we can get it to do it automatically. So what I've done here is set up 9 email addresses. And this is the same for the group version. If you hit mark as planned, then the system will automatically allocate those tiles to people in various teams. So it's set up Learner 9 in Team 2, Learner 8 in Team 2, and so on. And you can move these people about. So if I wanted, well, actually I know Learner 9, I want Learner 9, 8, and 7 all to be in Team 1. You can move them around, and as you do that, you'll see the system automatically allocates people. So you can play about with that until you've got everything fixed. and then send out. So you can do that as many times as you need to. And my suggestion is probably to wait until you're fairly sure of the group that you're working with. One thing I've learned as a trainer is that whatever number you expect won't be the number that turns up for your training. So you need to be quickly able to adapt this. So I was ready with 9 people to go. I've turned up and I've just been told that learner 9 is no longer coming. So what I can do is go back, mark as draft. I'm going to remove learner 9 from my set, so I only have 8. I hit it back as marked planned, and again, the tiles are reallocated. So at this stage, nothing goes out until you hit this button to invite participants. Only at that stage are the tiles fixed. So when we started this, Kim was working in the background and didn't hit that invite participant button until we knew the 8 people that were on the call. Okay, so that's how you set up to work in the sub-team version. And in this version, what it tends to do is speed up the first part of that activity. So if you imagine you were working as a group of 6 people who'd never met before with 30 tiles distributed. If you were working in a smaller group with only 10 tiles, you're likely to be able to figure out where those 10 tiles are in relation to each other much quicker. So if you had 2 rows of 5, for example, you'll quickly find out that you have a match from left to right across 2 rows. And if you're a block of 6 and 10, you'll find out that you have some vertical matches. The way the next stage of the exercise works is you need to figure out where that block of 10 is. And you can only do that by coming together with the other participants. And then finally, you go into the exactly the same final stage where all 30 cards are placed on the board in 30 seconds.
Question, Graham.
Sure.
So that means that the group doesn't see the grid, how it's segmented on the left side.
Yes, they do. No, they do. They do. Yeah.
And they know what part they're in on the gray one, the blue one, or the pink one.
No, they won't. They'll know that. Okay. Yeah. Because if you imagine you have the dark gray 6 and 10. You could figure out that you've got a block of 6 and 10 because you can match up and down and you can match across, but you won't know whether you're the very light grey or the very dark grey because you don't know where you fit on that board, and that's why the groups have to come together.
You know how it's segmented, but not to which part you belong. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Can you do you combine that with breakout groups or?
Correct, absolutely, yeah. So what I would normally do with Team Symbols version is brief everyone in plenary, have the breakout room set, and then send them into their breakout rooms. So 2 ways of doing it. What happens in the physical world is you have them in maybe 3 separate rooms or 3 parts of a big hall. Usually they decide, when it comes to figuring out when you want to meet with the other groups, do you have everyone meet, or do you send an emissary, a leader from each of the subgroups so that you can figure out? Because what will almost certainly have happened is that people will develop their own language, their own nomenclature, their own way of working in those small sub-teams. And if you suddenly put everyone together, it becomes a bit of a difficult challenge. So in the digital world, I usually create a 4th breakout room. So that if people want to go and meet, I can send them there. Or they can just pop out, if you're using Zoom, of the breakout room into plenary and have discussion there. So again, the idea here is, much as we do in the physical world, if you're working experientially, you want to give the learners as much opportunity to organize themselves as they can within the kind of rules of engagement. So we've tried to create a bit of flexibility here for how that might work.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So you've mentioned the Teams version, and then because I just looked at the product list, is it the same version we were working with, or is it a different version?
Sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question. So when you buy Symbols, you have both methods you're able to use. You can use it as a great, right? Okay.
Okay. So you can use it as both. It's the settings and how you set it up.
Correct, yeah. What you maybe missed, and let me go back to this, is that when you first create a new product and you hit this new session, when you go to that drop down, it will say, do I want to do a Symbols or do I want to do a Team Symbols? Okay, so you need to decide that when you first create the session. So I know if I'm going to be working in 3 teams, I create team symbols. If I'm going to be working as a large group, it's just called symbols.
And it's still 12 people as the max.
No, I mean, technically, as you have 30 tiles, you could have 30 people working, one with each tile. But if you try to manage a project with 30 people trying to talk at once, that's a big number. So my suggestion is probably 15 maximum when people have 2 tiles. Again, if they only have 1 tile, they're not going to be very engaged, and it could be, you know, a long time. So the ideal group size for symbols is probably somewhere between 8 and 15 people. So if you have more than 15 people, my suggestion is to run two sessions in parallel.
But then that's buying 2 products.
No, team symbols, symbols comes when you buy a license, you have 2 users. So going back here, you automatically do that. Again, we've tried to take advantage of our experience in the physical world. So in the physical world, often, depending on the type of business, people might have a cohort that's 20, 25 people. And the temptation was to, well, I've bought 1 physical symbols, I'll just run it with 20 people. So it's a better user experience if you run it as 2 10s or 2 12s. So we provided 2 licenses so that you can automatically do that from the beginning.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's super. That was not clear to me on your description. It's really helpful to hear that today.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I missed that.
Yeah. I have to say I'm still learning. Every time I do one of these, I remember something else. So, you know, when you live with trying to create something, and I've lived with it for 20 years, it's easy to forget what you haven't told people. So I'm conscious of time. We've got a couple of minutes left. Any final questions or anything that I've missed for people?
Is there a reflect? I mean, as part of your platform, is there a learning or reflection section? Like, let's say I was doing this with a distributed team across the globe. Like, do you have anything like that? I'm just curious. Or are you even thinking about that?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean, Kathy. So what is it you'd be looking for? So
apparently I'm so tired. I can't speak English right. It's not that late, but it's been a long day. No, so just like, you know how you would use like a mural board to keep everything together, right? Let's say I'm working with a project team and I'm working with a process flow where it's like lots of different parts and they might be coming at this together. Is there a way, like, I don't know, do you do like, I'm trying to think how to say it. So I use Google, right? So when I'm doing a program now, I'm using Google Docs to send people reflection logs, download, right? And then they.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you, yeah.
So the experiential learning piece. So this is, right now it's a standalone experience with me facilitating it with a debrief, but there's no transfer piece, it sounds like. That you've designed.
Sure, yeah. I mean, virtually there's not. Because I think that, as you rightly say, there are tools out there that you could already use. You know, Google Doc is a good way. So when you're moving into the review, it's very hard to be prescriptive about how you would do that, because you know, we don't know what you've chosen the activity for. So certainly you'll find in our literature the use of things like shared Google Docs is great, Miro boards, other things like that. We will probably add these things in, but really the idea of the activity is that this is a rehearsal space. So you'll already probably have provided some content up front, or you're going to provide some content after this. So this is the rehearsal space where people get a chance to either put something in practice that you've been talking about. But often we use experiential learning, as we say, when we catch people in the act of being themselves, you know. So if you have a team that's struggling to work together, then Symbols will be a challenge. So as I have here, you've got a recorded session. So if there's something you wanted to go back to later, either on an individual one-to-one coaching basis or with a small team, you've got at least a concrete experience of how they've operated as a team. So often, you know, the follow-up is going back and looking at what happened, you know, which is usually part of the review. But there aren't specific tools within that, much as we haven't provided them within the physical world. We do have some image-based tools that we would probably be using and introducing. So again, you know, maybe to get the conversation going, you might have some tools where you would say, okay, can you, you know, look at, let's rehearse what we've just done. So let's, you know, pass a card to who in this team was really concerned with team maintenance. You know, who is most concerned about making sure that we are successful and people were contributing rather than just on their own personal contribution. So you'll see things like that coming from us, if that's what you mean, Kathy. I'm not sure I answered that properly, but I tried.
No, I'm just, you know, I'm just really mindful because of feedback that I've gotten, and I'm working like on the continent of Africa, and so bandwidth is a really big challenge, and just so getting people to move between different technologies is actually a challenge.
Yeah.
So just trying to see how much in one space one can do. Yeah.
I have to say, I mean, that is our plan. Our plan is to try and create a space on this platform where there'll be a series of tools to be used with your learners. There'll be a series of tools that you as a facilitator will find useful. And then there'll be a series of tools that you might use for more general things like meetings or follow-up. So yeah, I mean, it's still early days, but yeah, hopefully you'll find some of those coming. Certainly some of the image-based ones will be coming already.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, and now a couple of minutes over my hour, so I want to thank everyone for your time and for sticking with what it was a very first difficult 10 or 15 minutes playing with colorblind with symbols. Kim and I will stay on if anyone's got any individual questions they want to raise, but I'll let everyone else go. And if you needed to watch this again, we'll send you details of the recording. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Take care. You have a good day.